Hey, everybody. Welcome to the debut episode of the Twin Bill Baseball Podcast with your host. I'm What a Day Joe, along with the Playa, and we are talking baseball movies here in the debut episode. Baseball movies, it's quite the thing. There are hundreds of them out there. And Benny, what do you got? You got a list going, don't you, with the baseball movies?
I tell you what, Joe, it really took a lot of thought because I've seen so many of them. I mean, how many great baseball movies are there? To narrow it down to 10,
I know.
I have a bunch of honorable mentions. So if we had a little time at the end of the podcast, we can throw those in there. But yeah, I really I gave it quite a bit of thought to narrow that list down, but it was not easy.
I know once you get going, I'm going to start jotting notes down, and all of a sudden I'm going to have like 20 more that pop into my head. But
Absolutely.
I got a bunch listed as it is, but I'm sure you got the good top 10. So what do you got? What do you got for some movies?
All right. Well, I'm going to start with 10. We'll work our way up to number 1. So for 10, I have Bad News Bears, but now the original Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau. Was it Tatum O'Neal?
Tatum O'Neal, yeah. Was Matt Dillon in that?
No.
Was Matt Dillon in that one? No. Was he? I forget.
I don't think he was. No, I got Joyce Van Patten was Cleveland.
Yeah.
Tatum O'Neal was Amanda. Yeah, and Walter Matthau was Coach Morris. What was his name? Buttermaker?
Buttermaker, yeah. Now there were a few remakes on that, but nothing could top the original.
Yeah, Bad News Bears Go to Uranus. I mean, it was like just a whole mess of follow-ups. But
what about the one? What was they went to Japan, right? Antonio Noki.
They did go to Japan, yeah.
Remember that one? That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. No, it was a nice. I mean, I'm not big on most of these movies. I mean, several of them that we mentioned are going to have sequels.
Sure.
And I mean, to me, there's very few movies where I like Rocky. I love the Rocky movies.
Who doesn't love a good Rocky movie on a Sunday, of course?
But then, one of my favorite movies is Caddyshack, and then probably my least favorite movie is the second Caddyshack movie. It's horrible.
I didn't even watch it.
Anyway,
didn't even watch it. You can't.
No, you missed nothing.
You know, my favorite scene in Caddyshack, I don't mean to go off script here, but my favorite scene in Caddyshack is when the bishop is in the bar there drinking with the club members, and Ted Knight goes up behind him and goes, "For God's sakes, you're a bishop." And he looks at me and goes, "My name
is no God.
There is no God." I mean, you can watch that movie over and over and find a different line in there that'll just bust you out open, just like Airplane. You can watch that over and over.
And I can do Caddyshack, and I literally can be like every character in that movie.
Oh yeah,
just go right down the script. Like even Maggie, when I'm gonna have it, I already decided. When she tells him she thinks she's pregnant. She's pregnant.
I know. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. That's it.
Wasn't she in Animal House?
I want to say she was. She looked familiar. I don't know. That was probably what
Animal House. I want to say she was Dean Vernon Wormer's daughter.
Yeah, in the carriage waving to the father there.
Yes,
Carmine, the mayor. The mayor.
Yeah,
Carmine.
after her fake boobies fall out, all the toilet paper.
That's how the
she's only 14.
Right. There you go. Well, we're going way off script here. Okay, so Bad News Bears number 10. What do you get for number 9?
Number 9. I feel like we're counting as Casey Kasem. So for number 9, I have 61, which is a movie that was that came out in 2001. I believe it was directed by Billy Crystal.
Yeah, love that.
But it really doesn't have, as far as a cast.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of unknowns. I guess the gentleman named Barry Pepper played Roger Maris. Another gentleman named Thomas Jane played Mantle.
Right.
I mean, looking at the names, very few of them really. I mean, Christopher McDonald played Mel Allen, and that's obviously a name.
Yeah, Richard Masur was in it. There were some big stars in that movie. Christopher McDonald was in it too, as well.
Correct. Yeah, he was Mel Allen, and I couldn't. Now the gentleman who played the resemblance of the guys who played Mantle and Maris was stunning in my opinion. How much they looked like them, and I like the guy. I can't think of his name. He's a character actor. He's been in a ton of movies. The guy who played Red Barber didn't really look like Red Barber, but he sounded just like him. But
yeah, he's been in several movies. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm trying to look him up now. Red Barber. He let me see here. I know that Thomas Jane was in a movie with Cameron Diaz back in the 92 2000s. Okay. Anthony Michael Hall was in it as well. He was in there.
All right.
He played Whitey Ford. He was the one that always got him out of stuff. Bruce McGill, Ralph Hulk. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That was right. I mean, I was born in 1955. I remember the 1964 season is the first season that I remember because I was in third grade and I was allowed to bring my transistor radio to school so we could listen.
I got a transistor radio behind me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first. And unfortunately, the Yankees lost, and that was like the last year before they hit. That was their last. Then they went into the Horace Clarke era right after that.
Oh yeah. So so that was a kind of a tough time for the Yankees fans, wasn't it?
Oh, from 65 through 75.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a couple of blips, thinking 70 or 71 they came in second place, but no postseason for that whole time.
Oh wow, that must have been tough for you guys in the Bronx, huh?
Well, when you think about from like I want to say 1921 until 1964.
Sure.
I don't know how many pennants they won. Like in that, it had to be like 30-something pennants and 20 World Series. I mean, Yankee fans were spoiled. Let's face it. I mean,
the Yankees were the equivalent to the Boston Celtics back in that day. I mean, the Celtics they won it every year after year, and all that stuff because the competition was kind of stale at that time. A few big names popped in baseball. 67, Yastrzemski, Triple Crown, right? They had an unbelievable year. So, yeah, that's pretty good. So, yeah, 61 was a great movie. I watched that over and over. I remember watching that on a VCR. That came out during before CDs and all that stuff. DVDs came out. So I remember that one. That was a good movie. Very good movie.
Now I have food for thought, though, for a future podcast. Maybe we debate what the greatest team of all time is.
Oh, boy. That's
a good one, right?
One podcast wouldn't cover that.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, you got to throw the 1961 Yankees in there.
Sure. I'm sure. Definitely. And you got to cap it off with the 2004 Red Sox.
61 Yankees. Yeah.
2004 Red Sox should have cap it off with that.
Oh, absolutely. No, you got to throw them in there too. But that's a great debate. I mean, that's total hot stove league stuff.
We need a whole panel of people on that one.
We would, yes.
Yeah. From all walks of life. You got to get some people
even
in on that
call David Ortiz and have him like as a guest on the
Big
podcast.
Big Poppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, who do you got for number 8?
Number 8. I'm having flashbacks to when I was a teenager on Tuesday nights. I've ever heard of Bruce Morrow, Cousin Brucey.
That sounds familiar.
He's on Sirius XM now, but he was was the DJ in New York.
Yeah. Oh,
and every Tuesday night at 6:00 on WABC 77, they played the top 20.
Oh wow!
And I would sit there with my notebook. What a geek I was. And I would I would record the top 20 survey, and then I would assign points. So number 20 was 1 point. Obviously number 1 was 20 points, and everywhere in between. So and I would keep a tally of each record and how many points it had, because at the end of the year they did the top 100, and I wanted to see how close my top 100 got to theirs.
Oh my
goodness. I mean, they had some over. Yeah, that was beginning of my.
You start talking about listening to the radio and all that stuff and writing this stuff. I'm automatically going back to Ralphie and A Christmas Story when he was trying to figure out that puzzle on the radio. That's the scene I'm getting right now with you. So.
No, but whenever I hear like number 8, like I think I immediately flash back to like 1969. But my number 8 is one of my favorite movies. I used to watch it with my kids all the time. Angels in the Outfield.
Angels in the Outfield. Saw it once.
Now there was another version of it in the 50s, I believe.
Oh, so it was a remake then?
Yeah, that's a remake, but now it's with a twist, because in the original movie, the Angels visited the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
And this was completely different. Great cast in this movie. You got Tony Danza.
Yep, I remember that.
You got Danny Glover. You got Christopher Lloyd.
Is that the one where the foul pole bends or something like that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that is the one. Okay, I remember seeing that.
And one of the Ben Williams, one of the outfielders in the movie, was played by a very young and not so famous at this time Matthew McConaughey.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was his movie debut or it had to be pretty close.
It's going to be pretty close to that. What year was that? What year was that?
Angels in the Outfield was let's see, 1994.
Yeah, 94. Okay.
94.
That's pretty close to a
great
debut,
flick,
I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was. I started watching the original, and for whatever reason I couldn't finish watching. I do have the guy's the manager of the Pirates, and they're like atrocious, like the Pirates are most of the time, and the fans are riding him. His job.
Not in 1980 with Willie Stargell. No way.
No, we are family, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He was twin MVPs, dual MVPs with Keith Hernandez in 1979.
Wow, unbelievable.
Yep. That's why we're doing this podcast, Joe. We're we spend a lot of time with baseball.
There you go. What do you got for number 7?
7. Now, for 7, I have A League of Their Own, which came out in 1992. And the only reason why this movie wasn't higher on my list is because I despise Rosie O'Donnell and Madonna as much as I love Tom Hanks. But what a great story it is.
It's an unbelievable story. I've seen the movie a million times. A little tidbit about that movie, if you will, and you hate Madonna, you're probably going to hate her even more. Carole King sings that song at the end of the movie when when the bus arrives and she arrives. Carole King was slated. That song was supposed to be the theme to A League of Their Own. So when she went to present it to Penny Marshall and all that, Penny Marshall said, "Great, we'll put this in there." Madonna's executives came over to her. It was in Madonna's contract that this used to be my playground. That song turned out to be the theme song to A League of Their Own, and that was written in Madonna's contract as part of her role in that movie. I just found that out. I like the Carole King song better than the Madonna song, but it's just that's a little tidbit there. So if you hated Madonna now, you probably hate her a little more since, because Penny Marshall, who obviously has passed away, she wanted Carole King to have that song, so they managed to put that song in the movie. However, it was at the end, but actually no, it's at the beginning. Excuse me. It used to be Playgrounds at the end. It's in the beginning when she's packing and getting ready to go to the field and all that stuff. Now and Forever is the name of the song from Carole King. Great song, by the way. Gotcha. There's a great YouTube video as well. It shows all the scenes from the movies with Tom Hanks, Gina Davis, everybody. Great movie. Great ending too. So really worked out well.
One of my favorite movie scenes of all time is when Jimmy Dugan's Tom Hanks is getting ready to board the bus with the team. Yeah. And a couple of kids ask him for an autograph. Yeah. And the kid goes, "Wow, avoid the crap, Jimmy Dugan. Clap, Jimmy Dugan." And then Tom Hanks yells out, "That's good advice." just a great scene.
I thought you were going to say when he kisses the chaperone there. By the way, I loved you in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, but yeah, no, it's got a ton of. I mean, it's a great movie.
Yeah, the guy the guy who played Squiggy was the announcer. I love those announcers back then. Come on out to the ballpark. Yes. Bring the kiddies, why don't you? I love that movie. It's great movie. Great movie. And kind of a semi-true story, I would assume, right? I mean, it was all about
I think it was the All-American, I'm not sure the exact name of it, Women's All-American Baseball League, but they were in business for about, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years.
Yep. We had my gym teacher in high school. She was elderly, but she was retiring when I was in high school. Her name was Mary Pratt. She's actually in the movie because she played on one of the teams back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Yep. They show her pitching or something in the end, when they show, because some of those people at the end are the original people that were still alive from that league. So that was kind of a neat thing. Somebody from the hometown there was in that movie. So yeah, great movie. League of Their Own. Really good stuff.
Gina Davis, either she's a great athlete or she's a hell of an actress, because I mean, she just looked like a ball player.
Yeah, she's tall. She's tall in real life.
She's a what do they call it? Tall glass of water.
JoJo calls those guys tall drink of water. Yeah, I get it.
There you go.
All right, what do you got for? What are we on? Number 6, I think. Is it
number 6? So this is kind of an obscure movie. That maybe not many people heard about, is The Scout with Albert Brooks and Brendan Fraser and Diane Wiest, who's the Dr. Aaron, the psychologist, and
a lot of therapists in there going on.
Yeah. Albert Brooks is Al Percolo, and he gets pretty much banished to Mexico because he's such a shitty baseball scout. And he finds Steve Nebraska. There's this. I don't think he ever did mention where he actually came from, but he was just down there playing baseball with donkeys in the outfield, playing for chimichangas and burritos. And he signs him to this huge multi-million-dollar contract. But Steve Nebraska, and they do a really good job of not quite saying what his issues are, but he obviously has issues. And Albert Percolo, the scout, there's a caveat in the contract that Nebraska doesn't have to play this year unless the Yankees make the World Series.
Oh,
and
okay.
at the time he made that caveat, the Yankees were like woefully out of contention.
Sure.
But of course, the Yankees rallied and they made the World Series. And
of course.
But Steve Nebraska throws the only perfect game, because not only does he throw a perfect game, but he records 27 strikeouts, and not only that,
wow,
he records them on 81 pitches.
So that's just perfect.
There should be a name for that. Of course, there's really no need to, because it would never happen.
Right, exactly.
But my question was after that, where do you go from there? Because the minute you throw a ball, somebody from the stands going to say, "Well, you suck, Nebraska."
I mean, you might as well pitch that perfect game, the ultimate perfect game, and just retire, and that's it. You'll have the league leading ERA. You'll have record breaking stats. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, where do you go from there if that was in real life?
But Nebraska was the greatest baseball player who ever lived. He even hit a home run in the World Series game. And his passion is doing laundry. He likes to hang out with Al Percolo and watch him do laundry. Even though he's a gazillionaire pitching for the Yankees, he likes to go figure.
People are funny.
But it's not a well-known movie, but I really enjoy. I've seen it many times, and it's one of my favorites. Obviously,
awesome. All right, what's next up? What do you got?
All right, well, the iconic movie Major League from 1989, and specifically the first one.
Oh yeah,
just a
remakes.
Great flick.
Yeah, Major League, unbelievable. A who's who of characters now that are in that. I remember the owner of the Cleveland Indians. I forget her name, but she was in all the Michael J. Fox movies, Secret of My Success.
Margaret Whitten was her name, and she played Rachel Phelps in the movie.
Yep. She was in a couple of movies in the 80s and all that. And you got who's the guy from L.A. Law there? He was in that one.
Tom Berenger?
That was he's a movie star.
Berenson?
Corbin Bernsen, yeah. He knocks out Charlie Sheen after they win it. But what a great movie.
Wesley Snipes is Willie Mays Hayes.
Willie Mays Hayes. Don't leave home without it.
Right.
Great
I like
movie.
when they ask him, what league did you play in last year? Oh, California Penal. Because he stole a car.
I don't think you could even make a movie like that nowadays. I'm telling you. You probably couldn't.
No, but
you get so many groups up in arms over that.
Absolutely.
So,
but you think about, like you said, the cast. You got Bob Uecker, as Harry Doyle, the announcer. You got Dennis Haysbert. As Pedro Serrano.
Serrano.
You got Wesley Snipes. You got Chelsea Ross, who I played. I think very under. Yeah, played Eddie Harris. He was the one that not Willie Mays Hayes, but Serrano had a what do you call it? A
Buddha
shrine.
Or something.
Shrine to Joe Boo, his little shrunken head, and he had rum. And after everybody cleared out to the locker room, Chelsea Ross, Eddie Harris took a sip, and he goes, "Up your butt, Joe Boo."
No,
and then he was out on the field for like 5 seconds, where somebody took a swing and a miss, and he was walking towards the bullpen and just hit him right in the back of the neck.
Yeah,
just a great scene. But
I wonder in real life, do owners do that? Do owners want to tank a season and stuff like that?
Makes you wonder. I mean, she had a legit reason.
The plot comes from somewhere. The writers are writing from, some of it's real life crossing over, but you just wonder sometimes some of those teams. And of course, they picked Cleveland at the time, which, pretty much was always in the basement over there. So I don't know. Yeah.
The Japanese construction workers, they still suck. They had subtitles saying how bad they suck.
Oh my God. Like I said, you can't make a movie like that nowadays.
No, absolutely not. No, it was a great one though.
All right. What's next? What do you got?
Now we're number 4.
Number 4.
I've watched this movie so many times, and it gives me goosebumps and all kinds of emotions every time I watch it. Is The Sandlot. And
The Sandlot.
The end of the movie when Benny the Jet steals home.
Okay.
And his best friend, Smalls, is the broadcaster for the LA Dodgers. And he goes, "I don't believe it. The Jet stole home. The Jet stole home." And you see them, Benny the Jet from the field and Smalls exchange the thumbs up. Just a great moment. But what a movie.
Yeah. Who was in that movie, too? There was a couple of stars in that.
Well, I mean,
played in there.
You had Art LaFleur, played the Babe. You know, the dead version of the Babe.
Okay.
You had Dennis Leary, who played Small's dad.
Okay.
You had James Earl Jones, who played Mr.
Oh yeah,
Myrtle,
right.
who actually was the junkyard guy. But as it turns out, he was one of the greatest players in the history of the Negro Leagues.
Yeah, he was Mr. Myrtle.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Dennis Leary was in it. Yeah, got a lot. Daniel Zacapa was the police chief. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most of the kids didn't really chart after that. I want to say, like the young kids.
Yep, that was what 93 that came out.
That 93? Was
93.
You are dead on there, 1993, and it. I mean, when I saw that movie the first time, I thought, holy crap, that is my childhood, because we literally, I was usually the first one up, so I got had breakfast, got my ball, got my glove, got my bat. Yeah, and knocked on the next door neighbor's door, and we would circle the whole block.
Sure.
After all, we had 10 of us. We walked to the park, played ball for about 4 or 5 hours. Went home, ate lunch, came back and played till it was dark out. I mean, it really was. Yeah, I mean,
me and JoJo were just talking about last night. You didn't go home until the streetlights came on. That was when it was time to go home. So definitely.
That was the automatic curfew.
Yep, that's it.
And one of my favorite scenes, it's two great scenes. One is when they decide to chew tobacco and get on that tilt-a-whirl with, and you hear the song Tequila in the background, and then you can show them like gradually losing, tossing their cookies.
Oh,
and then when
I'd probably lose my cookies.
America the Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Okay. I said I probably would have tossed my cookies too if I got on a tilt-a-whirl with a bucket full of chew in my mouth. So
absolutely. But then Ray Charles singing "America the Beautiful," and Benny the Jet hits one in the air, and it disappears amongst the fireworks. Like scenes like that give you goosebumps. But great movie, so much adventure.
There you go. Number 4. What do you got? Number 4.
Well, that was number 4. So number 3 is
that was number 4. Oh wow,
that was number 4. Yeah, we're moving up there. We're up to the top 3. I have number 3 is The Pride of the Yankees. Which I actually have a hard time watching that movie because
really
I remember as a kid. Yeah, because just the part. I mean, I love the whole movie up until when he gets sick, and then it's too much. But Gary Cooper, what an actor!
Exactly. And he was Walter Brennan.
Walter Brennan before he became Grandpa McCoy. Dag neighbor Luke.
Yeah,
remember the real McCoys? I'm dating myself now. I'm so damn old, but
that was
Babe Ruth played a cameo in it. Played himself.
That was one of those movies. Came out in 1941. That was one of those movies where my uncle and my father, if they were flipping through the channels or turning the TV, I should say, it's before remote controls. If that movie was on, they kept that movie on. So that was always.
Oh
on.
Yeah, that's an
Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, something like that. That came on and. Yeah, that was a tough one. He gives that speech and all that stuff. So yeah,
and another one like Gary Cooper. I mean, he had to, and we'll talk about Robert Redford too. Yeah. These guys, like even Gina Davis, like they did a great job. They looked very athletic, and I don't know what Gary Cooper's background was.
Sure,
but
I think he had some type of background. I think he was tall, dark, handsome. He was that guy. He was Hollywood back then.
How many great movies did he have? Jeez, like I still could go and watch. I think it's Meet John Doe. Is that the name of it?
Probably.
What a movie. Yeah, I think
he a little before my time, but I know exactly who he is.
And actually, in fairness, mine too, because I'm talking about 40s movies. But yeah, he was just. I mean, he was that. Him and
like Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart was tall
Jimmy
too.
Stewart.
Yeah. They were all these leading men were very, very actual leading men. They were tall. They were larger than life characters, almost similar to pro wrestling back in the day. Where they
I wonder what kind of money they made back then, as far as and what it would equate. I wonder if they made the equivalent of like what a Tom Cruise would make as a leading role.
I mean, if they're getting $25 million now, I would say they made a lot, but not as much. Maybe because there wasn't as much available back then. For the glamour life thing, there's always the nice car and the nice house and everything, but. Did they travel a lot back then? I don't know.
I bet you they didn't make more than 200,000. I bet you they didn't.
I wouldn't say. Yeah.
And even if you index that to with inflation,
yeah, we'd have to reference that. That could be a whole nother show too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good point because I read. I mean, as a child, I read countless baseball books, and I remember Yogi Berra's book.
Oh yeah,
and I remember him signing one year for like $7,000.
Oh my god!
And so $7,000 in the early 50s.
That's
no matter what even if it equates to $700,000 now, it's still
for an autograph.
For an autograph.
Oh my god!
No, I'm saying for his contract.
Yeah. Oh, contract. Yeah.
His contract.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at $700,000 for Yogi Berra, who won 3 MVPs, when these guys are making 30 times more than that.
It's funny when you talk about salaries. Real quick, I don't want to go off script, but I was watching a sports show back in 1980, and Tommy Lasorda was on it. I think it was like something like Barbara Walters. You might be able to YouTube this too. And Dave Winfield got the big contract for the Yankees, first multi-million-dollar contract or whatever. And
yes.
And then they asked Tommy Lasorda, is like, how do you justify paying a ball player this kind of money for a game, essentially? And Tommy Lasorda was dead serious and looked at them and said, if it's what it is, if you had to pay a plumber to come to your house to fix something and they charge $10,000 an hour, you'd have to pay it. And that's how it is in Major League Baseball. And that rang so true to me. They made those ball players millionaires because of the residuals that they get in return. But that's the way he justified it. He goes, that's the business we're in. You play baseball, you make a lot of money. Just like if you're a plumber, you make X amount of money. He goes, if that's the going rate for a plumber to come to your house, then you pay it. Same thing with baseball. And I thought that was, I think I was 12 or 13 at the time when I heard that. And I'm like, wow, that's what an analogy to say about a ball player making that kind of, just to justify it was kind of funny to me. So
I think in a way now is kind of payback because all those years before free agency where the players were totally at the mercy of the owners. And I remember
they owned you. They really owned you back then, right?
Yeah, yeah. Was it 1953, I think, when Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown? He hit I think it was maybe 56.
Yeah.
But he hit like 53 homers. He hit like 353. And his contract for the next year was exactly the same as the year before.
Unbelievable.
Right. And what leverage do you have?
Well, most of them represented themselves too back then, I believe, too. They didn't have agents.
Oh, yeah. They mailed the contract to your house.
Yeah. They went to your house. The owner
literally
and the
mailed
manager
the
would come to
your house.
Yeah. Do you want to play first? You want to play ball? Sure. Okay. Let's do it.
My parents used to have this Italian saying, "Okisto gats," which literally means like this or balls. But it's like
go have some pasta fagioli, huh?
Yeah, my dad would say, I'd say, "Hey, Dad, what's for lunch?" He'd say grilled cheese, and I'd say, "I don't really want grilled cheese." He'd go, "Hey, okisto gats, like take it or leave it." It was the same thing with a contract back then.
Yeah,
because you couldn't say, "Well, I'm not going to play for you. I'm going to play for somebody else," because you couldn't do that. So
you were like blackballed.
Once free agency came into being, I really think that the players, I think they got way, way, way below their market value for years and years.
Oh, definitely.
And then once free agency came into being, into play,
then
they started making what they probably should have been making. I don't see
more money and less rules and all like that. It was crazy. Yeah. Right. You see the ball players like Yastrzemski, 67 Triple Crown, probably made peanuts back then. If you do something like that nowadays, it's in your contract, you get like a $20 million bonus or something like that. But I can't imagine.
I wonder because Yaz is still around, right? He's about 83.
Yeah, he's up there. Yep, 83. Yep.
But I wonder what he made, and I wonder how he feels. Like what kind of money he would have made if he was playing now.
Yeah, you'd have to have a conversation with him in a bar room for that, because I don't think on the record he would say anything legitimate, so to speak. He'd probably give you the general term that the blanket statement that everybody gets. You'd have to have a real conversation with them, because I am sure you got the Jim Rices and the Fred Linds and the Kyle Yastrzemskis, and I'm sure back in the day, even Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. I couldn't even tell you what he was making, and he's the one that set the record for the home runs in the World Series. So
I don't think Reggie ever made more than like say $300,000 or $400,000 a year.
Isn't that crazy? That's absolutely crazy.
And again, even if you jack it for inflation, you're maybe talking like say maybe $2 to $3 million
Yeah.
I mean, reserve outfielders make that kind of money. And so that's another example. I wonder how a Reggie feels about what the kind of jack these guys are making. And like, do they wonder like, man, I was born way too early because I would have, although I think they were
it's got to be it's like got to be similar to pro wrestling. You get the Ric Flairs and the Hulk Hogans who pro wrestling days traveled 360 days out of the year and made a fraction of what some of these guys make nowadays.
Right.
And they'll say they're the founders of the sport and all that stuff. They got to be rewarded in some way. I mean, there's got to be some type of give back to Major League Baseball, to all these players who, pave the way for these guys to make that kind of money.
Right.
There's got to be something. So
I would think so. I mean, I think most of them are getting some kind of pension. The sad thing is, well, not sad, but I mean, they're probably making more with their pension now than they actually made as a player.
With inflation and all that, I'm sure they are. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. All right, what do you got? We're up to number 2 now?
Number 2, the runner-up, and boy, this was tough. Well, number 2 is The Natural.
Oh, love that movie.
Oh,
love that movie. Robert Redford.
I want to...
Speechless. We're both speechless right now.
Right, because I think we both talked about it offline. How many times, like I've seen that when he hits the home run and it explodes the lights.
I played wiffle ball. I told you we used to play wiffle ball in the backyard, and we would simulate those moonshots, and we'd call it, "It's still going. It's still," what I mean? That is just incredible. In the storyline behind all that, he gets shot and the injury comes back and all this craziness. He's sick. There's a past, and there's another bribery, there's scandal, there's about a mix of everything in there.
I mean, really, there's not a lot. I mean, it's a baseball movie, but it's like way, way more than that. There's so many storylines within the movie, but just, you got Robert Duvall as Max Mercy, the sports writer. You got Barbara Hershey. She was the, I think her name was Harriet Bird. You got, what's his name?
Who played the owner? He's been in a ton of movies.
Robert Prosky.
Oh my God, he's like Hollywood Central back then.
Robert Prosky was the priest in the movie Rudy, which is another favorite.
Oh
movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, and he's been in a ton of stuff.
He got Wilford Brimley before he became addicted to oatmeal.
Yep. When he died of diabetes too, or something like that. That's crazy.
Who knows? But yeah, Glenn Close was his his
a young Glenn Close, Close too. Yeah.
But with that one, now again, Redford, like the way because they showed his pitching motion, and his swing. I mean,
my God,
they were sweet, right? I mean, that was a major league level swing.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out who played the bat boy. Is it Bobby? Yeah, George
Bobby.
Bobby, pick me out a winner, Bobby.
Yeah,
remember that one? Pick me out a winner. What was the name of the bat too? It was called something. He made his own bats.
Wonder Boy, wasn't it?
Wonder Boy? Yeah, it was Wonder Boy. That's just incredible. Then he broke his bat. He goes, pick me out a winner, and he moonshots that baby. What a great movie.
Yeah.
Great.
If you can watch that last scene and not feel either goosebumps or something, then you need to check up. Well, not even from the neck up. You need your heart looked at because you don't have one.
And the soundtrack was unbelievable too. I don't know who was. I figured who did the soundtrack, but my goodness.
I enjoyed. I think after this podcast, I'm going to binge watch all these movies.
You'll never guess. Conducted by Randy Newman. Unbelievable. Wow. And the often been compared to the style of Aaron Copland and Bernstein. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, can you believe that?
Wow. Yeah,
unreal.
Just a great movie.
Yeah, I can hear that. Oh man, that hits the lights and it keeps going, the sparks and everything, and
it was a tough choice to make this number 2 and not number 1. I mean, in my mind, it's 1A.
Sure. All right, what do you got? You got to unload that number 1 now that we segued.
If you build it, he will come. Field of Dreams. And to me, this will always be the GOAT of baseball movies.
I'm going to show you something right now. You ready? Because now we're taping this. I didn't know you were going to choose that as number 1, but I queued something up just for us. You ready for this?
Sure, ready.
Hey, is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Oh yeah, could have swore it was heaven.
Oh my God. Dyersville. You've been there, right? You told me you've been
Many
there.
times. I actually hit a ground rule double into the cornfield. It was like one of the greatest.
Oh,
They just had some random guys. I guess they were volunteers.
yeah.
And this place is literally in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And it's exactly, I mean, it was, I don't know how it is now. I haven't been there in a little bit, but exactly like it looks in the movies. Just you had people, they brought their gloves. You could play in the outfield, shag flies.
Yeah.
Some guy was pitching, like, BP, and you got to get like 10 swings, and I nailed one into the cornfield. Nice. What a thrill. I mean, I ran the bases. And
I'm in Centerville, Iowa, and we're a few hundred miles away from Dyersville, but it is on my bucket list to get up there.
Oh gosh!
You can even spend the night. You can spend the night in the house. That actual house is still there. The room is still there. You can actually stay in that house for.
Well, I think I'm going to add that part to my bucket list.
Yeah,
because that.
But I do know they block it off for the first couple of weeks in August because they do have the pro game up there. Major League goes up there and plays the game now every year. That's on the schedule. I think it's I think it was the Yankees that did the first couple of games up there.
I think Yankees White Sox was the first.
Yeah, Yankees White Sox pinstripes. Yep, they were there. So it's a great experience. I mean, I've seen it online. I want to live it. You've lived it. I want to get up there. It's on my bucket list, no doubt about it.
Everybody in that movie plays their part to perfection. Kevin Costner. You got James Earl Jones as Terrence Mann, the writer. You got Ray Liotta as
scenes filmed in Boston. You watching the movie, you had no idea the Red Sox or the Boston Red Sox would be involved in that. Whether it was a trip to Fenway, James Earl Jones living in Boston, and the part of Boston he was living in is actually Chinatown. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
When they find him, that was filmed in Chinatown because I think they say, "Oh, look for the dead
first
chicken
window without a chicken."
Yeah, that's Chinatown in Boston.
Oh wow!
I've walked those streets a million times, and they hang their food right up there for you to look at. It's a whole different.
So that was realistic.
Oh, that's realistic. Yeah. Scene on Lansdowne Street behind the Green Monster. Yeah, I mean, it's just an unbelievable movie. I had no idea there would be a Red Sox connection in that movie when that first came out. I remember them filming it, but I didn't think, I didn't read the storyline about it until the movie actually came out. You're like, oh boy, he's looking up at the scoreboard, the old scoreboard at Fenway, and he gets the message there. Just a great movie, great movie. And what's his name was in it? The Doc. Who's Doc?
Oh, Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster.
He was like Graham. Yep. And Dwyer Brown, who actually I was friends with on Facebook for a long time. Okay. Played John Kinsella, who was, appeared in the end as Ray's dad.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, and for me, the biggest intrigue, my dad had passed away like a couple of years before the movie. And, just the end, really, like when he says, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?" Because they had been estranged in their life.
Yep.
And the real reason why he built the field, even though he didn't know it, he thought it was to bring Shoeless Joe back.
They will come, yep.
But it wasn't Shoeless Joe. The they was his father.
The biggest question I had is, did Kinsella, Ray's father, know it was him? You knew Kevin Costner knew it was his dad, but did he know it was his son? That's like a big question.
I say
you
yes.
need to believe yes, no, maybe, I don't know.
I say yes because he's up in heaven. Surely he's looking down on them. So
okay, so he knew. Okay, so he knew.
Well, and at the end when he goes, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?" And
that's right. He did say Dad.
And he goes, "I'd like that." And so otherwise he would have said, "Well, my name's Sean. What do you call me Dad for?" So yeah, I'm going with.
I'm thinking he didn't hear the dad part.
Yeah, so I'm going with the fact that. Yeah.
So that is number one. Obviously, Field of Dreams. I have a list of other movies and so forth. Most of your top 10 was on my list. Bull Durham.
What do you now? I have some honorable mentions. I'd be curious as to what you have besides that.
Let me see. Moneyball was one that I had.
That was that was actually I had that as number 10. I had to nose it out. But I put 61 in my top 10, and I had to kick Moneyball out. But yes,
opposite of 61. Movie. Opposite of 61. How about 42? Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
That came out a few years back. 8 Men Out was a good movie.
That's on my honorable mention.
Some of them, Cobb, The Babe with John Goodman.
The Babe. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a John Goodman fan, but I think he did a pretty decent job playing the Babe. I do have that on my list.
I don't think he can play him now. He's lost so much weight, but
right.
That's something. And let me see, Bull Durham, as I said, funny. And then I wrote a couple down while you were talking because I knew my head would go crazy here. Where is it? One of them was a movie with Mark Harmon and Jodie Foster. Stealing Home was one. I don't know if you ever saw that. He was a minor league a baseball player, I'll say, semi-pro ball player who kind of drifted off into life, and finds out that his babysitter, who actually, kind of raised him, so to speak, had passed away, and he had the duty of burying her ashes. So he had to come back home and reunite with his friend, his ex-girlfriend, and all that stuff. And he was in the movie. He stole home a lot, and that was one of the things there. It's a sentimental favorite with that one. That was a good movie, Stealing Home.
Now, how about? And I'm surprised we haven't. I'm sure you're going to recognize this movie.
Sure.
Fever Pitch.
I have that. I was about to say that. Fever Pitch.
Oh yeah, with Drew Barrymore. I love that movie.
But it's a baseball movie per se, but it's based on, it's more like I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like Pride of the Yankees and things like that.
No, I mean,
it's more centered around the 2004.
About a guy who's he's obsessed with the Red Sox.
Yeah, it was crazy because that movie was being filmed in 2003 when they went to the ALCS, and then Tim Wakefield gave up the dinger to Aaron Boone, and we lost the series.
Oh,
and the Yankees went on. They started filming that in 2003. Amazingly, in 2004, we get back to the World Series, and Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon were able to film the ending scenes in St. Louis.
Wow. Okay.
So, Fever Pitch was a good movie. That was like a really good movie.
Cute movie. I had that definitely on my list of honorable.
But there are Mr. 3000 was one.
Oh yeah, Mr. 3000.
He didn't get that 3000 hit. He had to go back and get it, and so forth. And For the Love of the Game.
That was
For the Love of the Game.
Kevin Costner again.
Yeah. And another movie that I kind of like, that really you don't find baseball movies that cover scouts or in a serious manner. Trouble with the Curve.
Oh, with Clint Eastwood,
Justin Timberlake, and Amy.
Hilary Swank
Amy Adams.
Is the girl?
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams. Okay.
Girl. She's a hotshot lawyer and all that stuff, and has to go take care of her dad and check on her dad.
Very good movie.
And you find that the kid who's cleaning the hotel room playing catch with his brother, and she goes, "I heard it." And Clint Eastwood's like, "What do you mean I heard it?" I go, "I heard it." She was taught how to hear the fastball hit the mitt.
Yes.
You know if it's legitimate or not with the velocity. Correct. And he's like, "Oh, you heard it." And amazingly enough, he goes up against the kid who called him Peanut Boy and all that stuff. And that's a good movie. It's a really good movie. The kid from Scream was in it too. He lost his job. Oh, we got a dog in the house. Who let the dogs out?
The fan club. She's in the Tony Rose fan club, because I had Tony Rose on my wrestling podcast, and she went nuts. And I said, "Oh, that's your number one fan."
Oh, wow.
Now, speaking of the fan, that was another one that Mike Monty, my friend, said that Robert De Niro made a movie called The Fan. Have you ever? I had never heard of it.
That was it was a thriller, I think.
Yes.
Wasn't he? He wanted to kill somebody or something like that. Kill some. Yeah, The Fan. That was a creepy movie there.
I was going to try to watch it last night, but I didn't get to. But yeah, he
Wesley Snipes plays the ball player.
Okay.
Yeah. That was what year was that? 96 that came out.
Okay.
So
now I'm going to go old school, because this one was on my list too. And also with Robert De Niro, and it was before he was even Robert De Niro was Bang the Drum Slowly.
I remember that one. Okay.
I think it came out in 1973. I can't remember the name of the character, but he played a catcher on the New York Yankees that was dying of leukemia.
Yeah, 73 film based on hotshot Henry Wiggin. Michael Moriarty is signed to the New York Mammoths. His confident ways quickly win over his teammates. He's the opposite of Robert De Niro, simple-minded catcher. Yeah, that was good. That was 73 that came out. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, 50 years ago. Holy cow.
Wow.
Same year I graduated high school. I just had I didn't go. I should have gone. My high school reunion was about 3 weeks ago. But
oh, that's right. Wait, was that 50 years?
Yeah, 1973.
Wow.
It's so hard to believe. And then, you see these pictures of people on Facebook. It's like, who's that old person? Oh, wait, I sat next to you in social studies.
Yeah. Put your high school yearbook photo up. You're better off.
Right. And I'm thinking like, well, how come I look so young and you look so old? But then you think like maybe somebody looks at your picture and says, man, that guy got old. Who knows? But I think that's it. Oh, I have one more.
Yeah. What do you got?
I have The Rookie.
The Rookie. I had that written
Dennis
down.
Quaid as Jim Morse. He was a brilliant prospect. His arm went out, and he went from being a high school baseball coach back to a major league rookie at the age of, I think, 37, played for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Let me compound that and go rookie of the year. The kid from American Pie, Thomas Ian Michael, whatever his name is.
Yes.
With the broke his arm, got it reattached, and ended up throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs for the Chicago Cubs. Gary Busey was in that.
That's right.
And who was the
little big league as well?
The trainer there, whatever, was the guy from Home Alone. I forget his name. He was one of the burglars in Home Alone.
Oh, Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern. That's his name.
I remember that. Yes, that was good. That was cute.
He was in Celtic Pride and all that stuff too. So yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Is it Little Big League where the kid inherits the Minnesota Twins?
Oh, I didn't see that one. What was that one?
I think it's called Little Big League. I've seen it once or twice. Yeah, wouldn't have made even my own mention, but I've seen it. It's a cute movie. Yeah, the guy's grandfather leaves him the team.
Yeah.
And I believe, I don't know if he manages the team as well, but he's an 11-year-old kid in 6th grade playing ball with his friends. Now he owns the Minnesota Twins.
Unbelievable.
And Timothy Busfield was in it. Same he plays in Field of Dreams as well.
Yeah, he was in Field of Dreams. Ray, you got to sell, Ray. Ray, you got to sell. They're going to take this.
Right.
You got to sell, Ray.
Mark. His name was Mark.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That was a good
You will go bankrupt.
Yeah, you will go back. There's so many good movies out there. Unbelievable. What a great debut for a podcast, huh? All these movies and stuff.
Just about baseball. I mean, wow.
Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. But was that all we got? I think that's what I have. I wrote down a whole bunch, and you pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I think between the two of us, yeah.
There might be some obscure ones, but most of them we've talked about. The Rookie, everything, The Natural, love The Natural. Unbelievable. Yeah. I
don't think we missed. I'm sure people listen to this. We're going to see. Well, what about fill in the blank? And
don't count the sequels, folks. You can't count the sequels,
right? But I mean, if there's if we missed one, I definitely want to know. And if I haven't seen it, I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, Billy Beane, Moneyball. I know I mentioned that one, but the following year he went to the Red Sox. Well, he didn't go to the Red Sox. He got interviewed by the Red Sox, but the Red Sox took his what do you call it? His what's the word I'm looking for? The way he was, paying the players for performance and all that stuff. He took that
the incentives.
Drawing a blank on what it is, but took his idea of how to change the game. And next thing you know, they won the World Series. The Red Sox really won the World Series.
Right.
Outside of Big Papi, there were a bunch of no names on that team.
It's very. I mean, were they using like sabermetrics? Is that what you call it? Like
something like that. Jonah Hill played that guy. He stole from whatever the team it was.
I think the Indians.
He went to Yale. He was a money man. He's like, look at this guy walks so many times. Walks equal runs. This guy gets hit by pitches a lot. That equals a lot.
Yeah. And guys who that they normally wouldn't even think of picking. He'd say, well, his on base percentage is 370.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets on base, so he's going to score runs.
Then you wonder how true it is. How he him and the manager, was it Art Howe he had problems with from Oakland?
Yes,
just telling him, you got to start this guy, and he's like, no, I refuse to. He's not playing well. Then he trades him. Now you have to start this guy, and he's like, you're killing me. You're taking away my team, and he's like,
right.
It was his way of saying have faith, but just a lot of ego involved, I guess, in that.
No, that's very underrated movie. That's a great baseball play.
Yeah, it's a long, drawn out movie too. The girl who plays his daughter actually is a real singer. She's in she plays the daughter in Ray Donovan from Showtime.
Okay, all right, did not know that.
Yep, good stuff. So that everyone gets their start somewhere, I guess.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think this was a great way to kick off a baseball podcast talking about baseball movies. I mean, there's so many topics we can talk about. We can talk about money. I mean, the greatest teams of all time, greatest player of all time.
We'll definitely think of another topic for the coming week and so forth. But this has been a hell of a debut. Talking baseball movies here on the debut episode of the Twin Bill Baseball Podcast with What a Day Joe and the Playa. But you got anything else there, sir? We all
no. I really, when the minute we agreed to do this, I was so excited because
I'm excited too.
I just love talking about baseball. I've loved it. I went to my first. I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
I went to my first game, and it was ironically Yankees against the Red Sox. It was a 20-inning game in 1964.
Wow.
And one of my great and I wrote a story. I submitted it to a baseball website. I haven't heard yet back from them, but there was a game in 1965. It was the Yankees and the Twins. and
Okay.
both Mantle and Maris homered in the same game.
Oh, wow.
So did, I believe, Phil Linz. Remember him?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
The harmonica guy, and then
Wow.
my cousin by marriage for about 15 seconds, Joe Pepitone.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of his wives was my cousin. And then, but there was a guy named Ross Moschito, which most baseball fans would never have heard of.
Wow.
He was number 53. I think he only had 9 at bats in the major leagues.
No kidding.
Or maybe 27 at bat. He played in over 100 games, but he had like very few at bats. They called him Mickey Mantle's legs. So,
wow.
65, 60. It's 65. Mantle was at the end of the line. He was, in his late 30s, breaking down. So Moschito would go to spell him, like, maybe the 8th inning, where enough to give the Mick a rest. And by then he rarely would get in at bat. But the game I went to against the Twins, he hit the left field foul pole, and it was his one and only major league home run.
Unbelievable.
So I was there for that.
What was it? He hit the foul pole at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, the left field foul pole.
And how was it? 314 down the line with small.
Yeah, like 315 or something like that. It was. I mean, it wasn't a bit. It was a chintzy shot, but
nice.
I mean, that was it. It hit the foul pole. It was one and only major league home run.
I was 7, 8 years old my first time at Fenway Park, and I must have gone. I think I've sat in almost every seat at Fenway Park. I'm not kidding you when I say that. I grew up there. The old joke in Boston is, when Bostonians wake up, they only care about 2 things in the morning, and that's the weather and how the Red Sox did.
Right.
And that's how you grew up. There was always a Red Sox game on, from spring training all the way to October. You've lived in a story town, baseball town with the Yankees and so forth. Red Sox in Boston, synonymous. I mean, when you think of baseball, who doesn't think of Red Sox Yankees? I mean, it's just, it's
I have to say though, and I'll give you I'll tell you a story. My nephew wound up moving to Boston and got married there, and my son Dan, who now lives in Minneapolis, was in the wedding party.
Okay,
and so he traveled to Boston. My son Dan is a diehard Yankee fan, like I am.
Sure.
But he wore all his Yankee gear. They went to a game at Fenway Park. My son wanted to go to Fenway Park, and he said he was treated very nicely by the Red Sox fans. They're good fans. They're passionate, but they're good people.
We're knowledgeable fans.
Yes.
I've heard that. I've been to a couple of games outside of Boston and so forth, but very knowledgeable, very courteous. I've seen some of the videos from Yankee fans and all that stuff, and it is what it is. But everybody's passionate. They're both passionate towns and so forth. But most people, I mean, back in the day, going to a ball game, were there to actually watch the ball game. Yeah, you cheered your home team on, but I can tell you, I sat right behind home plate when I first saw it. I think it was 85, 86. Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco came up, and they were hitting back to back. And I looked at these guys. I go, these guys, something tells me they're going to change the sport, because they were huge. Yeah, they weren't your average ball players. They were hitting foul balls like they were playing tennis. And they were hitting monster foul balls, by the way. I mean, I remember McGwire fouled off like 4 of them, and these things landed up, two blocks down the road. And I'm going, these guys got some power. So I could tell the game was changing then. But I remember, I think it was 81 or 82 when the strike ended. They opened up Fenway Park to watch practice, and Yaz walked right by, shook my hand. I even got a Christmas card from him, because my mother ran into him at a toy store one year, and I was freaked out when I got that Christmas card from Kyle Yastrzemski. That was like the best.
That had to be
ever.
A huge thrill.
I was like, whoa, So I mean, that's the passion. We all share it. You share it. We share it. We all remember our first time at the ballpark, and it's always been special. That's something you will never ever forget.
And you know what, Joe? It still is. I mean,
it still is. No, there's no doubt about it.
I love minor league baseball, and the 2 reasons why I love it. One is because it's very inexpensive. Like I live close to the Dunedin Stadium, which is the Florida State League team for the Blue Jays.
Okay.
And I mean, you can, on a Wednesday afternoon, I think it's $2, but usually it's like $7. The beer is cheap. I can get
there's no
bratwurst and a beer for, for $12. And I can sit there, get a nice seat on a Sunday afternoon, get some sun, watch baseball. And you never know, like those guys that you're watching, it's like going to an indie wrestling show.
Yeah.
You might be seeing the next great superstar, not even realize it. And then one day you're going to see him on Monday Night Raw, and you're going to go, holy crap, I saw that guy, when he wrestled in front of 30 people.
That's how I am with Brian Pillman.
Right. So you get it.
Yeah. On NXT, Thunder Rosa. Same thing.
Right.
With AEW.
Like I saw this guy play baseball, and there was like 47 people in the stands here in Dunedin, but I knew he was going to be great. So I love it. I mean,
when you watch the game long enough, you know who has the talent. You can see it.
Right.
Especially at that level. But yeah, I love minor league ball. Less fluff, just everything centers around the game, and that's it. There's no outside interference.
And these guys are hungry. Like they don't have the $1 million contracts. They're looking to make the millions, the $1 million contract, but they're hungry. They want to get to the top, and they obviously love baseball, but they're not making good money down there for sure.
Nope, I hear you. But nonetheless, this has been a great debut podcast for the Twin Bill Baseball Podcast. Next time, we'll let everybody know. We'll promote the show as best we can. But if you can follow, like, share, whatever you can do, comment on the show, that'd be greatly appreciated. That's going to do it for me. What a day, Joe. Benny, you're all set?
Yes, sir.
All right, the player. We are out of here, folks. I want to thank everybody, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one, everybody.